Please rise. I call this meeting to order and ask you to join Trustee Dropka in leading us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Clerk Blau, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Clark?
Present.
Trustee Drapka?
Present and accounted for.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Present.
Supervisor Wilt?
Present.
Let the record note Trustee Lupfer is not in attendance and that Clerk Blau is in attendance.
Thank you very much. We are going to try to move this along because we have a lot of guests here tonight. But first, we need the approval of the minutes of July 2nd of the Committee of the Whole meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting for July 2nd, 2019.
I have a motion by Trustee Heilenbach. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Clark to approve the minutes of July 2nd, the Committee of the Whole. Any corrections or additions? Hearing not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Then we have the minutes of the July 9th board meeting. What is your pleasure?
I have one small minor correction. Oh, wait, should we make a motion first?
Go ahead and make a motion, and then I'll call for the changes.
Motion to approve the minutes of July 9th for the board meeting?
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Trustee Clark, second by Trustee Heilenbach, to approve the minutes, and you had a correction, Trustee Clark?
Just on page 3, under unfinished business, budget for events, the next committee, the last line, the next committee of the whole meeting will be on August 6th at 6 p.m., but it was really at 6:30.
That's correct.
So,
Well,
as a-
actually, I think I was the one who made the mistake. It was supposed to be at
At
6,
6, right.
and then I called it for
When
6:30.
at the time that the minutes were taken, it
Oh,
was
it's supposed to
said
be at
as-
6? Okay.
It was
Yeah.
6.
Okay,
It was my error.
so, I'm fine, that,
Right, but at the time that this
Yeah,
was,
okay.
that was set for
That's okay.
6.
I mean, if you want to change it in the records, I can do that, but
it's whatever anybody's comfortable with.
Let's leave it, and then the minutes of the other meeting will reflect, actually, that we met at 6:30. Okay? So are there any other additions or corrections? If not, I have a motion and second to approve the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting of July 9th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried. And finally, we have the minutes of the August 6th Board of Trustees Committee of the Whole, which actually I see that the header says 7 p.m., but that should be
oh, yeah.
6:30.
6:30.
And do I have a motion on those minutes?
A motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Trustee Clark. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Drapka. Any corrections or additions?
Yes.
Okay.
On page 2, under the second little dot, there will be speakers in January, February, and March of 2020. I think there'll probably be only one speaker, so not 3 speakers, and it will be in one of those months. So there won't be 3 speakers, it'll just be 1 speaker.
Well, maybe we could say January, February, or March?
There will be a speaker event in January, February, or March. Because the way I read this
Right.
tells
We've
me
got
there'll be a
three events.
speaker, and
Right.
then under the second to the last dot, the sale of beer, wine, and soda, that's for the 150th?
No.
Isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that would be. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, you are right, Mayor.
That's what,
Well,
Okay,
and
that'll-
going on in
that'll be
regards to
corrected.
that, the bullet point below that one too, that should be moved down to the September 2020.
So both of those actually belong in the next section.
Thank you.
and, then I don't know if this is, when we're on the next page, as far as our budget, I know we budgeted 15,000, but I said I needed 5 of that for the reception, which I think will come in under budget on that, but
Okay.
just depends on how far, you know, if we're gonna rent tablecloths and stuff like that. So I don't know if we need to designate that.
I don't know that it's necessary, but we
Okay.
all know that, and actually today we need to approve that, so we can
Okay.
deal with that in the,
Do you
in
want that
today's
added to the
proceedings.
minutes, Mayor?
She said we'll
Trustee?
deal with it in this meeting.
Okay.
That's fine.
Then I have a motion and a second to approve these minutes. Do I hear, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you. Are there any communications?
Yes, we
Clerk
have
Blum?
two. One is from Best Buddies. They want to thank Riverside Township for so much sponsoring the Friendship Walk. Our contribution will support the continued growth of our program and impact many lives. Your support to Best Buddies means the world. Very nice postcard. And a thank you note from the Boy Scouts of America for their grant of $3,000 and our continued support of their programs.
Very good. Thank you. Those need no action. It's nice to get a thank you. Then, I'm not talking about visitors' remarks now that we'll deal with on a specific topic, but is there anyone here for something that is not on the agenda? Okay. If you are here to speak to one of the grant requests, I hope that you've signed in so that we get your name spellings right. Okay? Thank you very much, and then we will move on to new business, and that first part being grants. The first grant under consideration is for the Leader Shop. If someone would, from the organization, would please step to the podium, identify yourself, and then be ready for some questions for us, or if you'd like to give us a summation of what you do, that would be welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Alan Morales. I'm the Executive Director of the Leader Shop. We're a youth development organization based in LaGrange that serve both southern Proviso Township along with Lyons Township. It is our hope, based on our grant request, that we're able to expand our current services to include students from 4 schools within Riverside Township. The first being Riverside Brookfield High School, Hauser, Comerick, and S.E. Gross. I'd be happy to take any questions regarding our request. We're specifically looking for financial support to support our recruitment efforts at these schools. We currently don't have a strong presence. While we do have participation of students from S.E. Gross and Riverside Brookfield, we currently do not from Hauser or Comerick. We're hoping to accomplish that, engage them in our, not only our after-school programs, but our youth development programs. We have a junior high leadership program along with a high school leadership program that we're hoping to engage students in.
All right. Do you have?
Well, it's not in, is that in Riverside?
It's not in Riverside Township, no, that's
And
in
neither
Lyons,
is
it?
Comerick, is it?
Comerick is outside, but
Yeah.
but a number of students, quite a few of the students from Comerick are actually in the township. So
Okay.
although Comerick itself is not in the township, from First Avenue to the middle of Ninth Avenue, students go to Comerick and they are in the township.
Have you gotten any permission, if, of lack of a better word, to be at Hauser or
It's our-
be to set up a shop there? You know, when you use the word hope, that means you haven't, have you talked to them yet, or?
Well, we've reached out to both of those schools
Okay.
to set up meetings with the administrative staff. We have a specific communication strategy in place in terms of not only engaging and educating the personnel of the schools, but also to inform them about our programs and services.
Okay.
All of our programs are open to everybody, regardless of residency. And we've been around for 41 years. We've got a strong track record of not only building leaders, but also providing quality service project opportunities to the students that are involved with our programs. So when I say it's our hope, what I mean by that is, yes, we'll need to establish that kind of relationship. I certainly think having the support of the township here would help make that happen.
Okay, and how do you plan on spending the funds if you are to receive this grant?
Specifically to help support the staff time involved with recruitment. We're a relatively small nonprofit organization. We have 8 personnel. 5 of those are directly involved with direct service of programs. 2 staff would be involved with recruitment and providing services to those schools and those students. In addition to that, we have a director of operations that does the relationship development and maintenance with school personnel. Currently working with 4 different high schools and 14 different junior highs.
Will that go into your general fund, or will that be specifically for Riverside Township residents? The grant request?
It's our hope that the students, one of the challenges that we have specifically with RB high school is determining whether or not they are a resident of Riverside versus Brookfield. We don't ask them where they live or what their township is when we attempt to recruit them in our programs. It's not something that we're currently tracking in our database in terms of township residency. It's something that obviously is important to the township because of the use of tax dollars in terms of providing services to the residents. Once they complete an application to become part of our programs, then we're able to determine the township. But in terms of recruitment, it's going to be to any student and all students involved with those schools.
So the grant is specific, geared towards starting a program with Hauser?
Correct?
And then, and you've been working with Proviso Township and Lyons Township for how many years?
Longer than I've been around. I've been with the Leadership for 16 years now, and we have received financial support from Proviso Township Mental Health Commission specifically.
Oh, really? The Mental Health Commission?
Correct.
Okay.
How much do you receive from them?
$55,000 annually,
Wow.
and it's based on fee for service.
What about Lions?
Lyons Township Mental Health Commission, just under $300,000.
Wow.
So in both cases, they're the mental health commission.
Correct.
That's amazing. And how many kids around about do you serve in Lyons Township and Proviso Township?
Annually, over 1,000, and 25% of those are residents of Proviso Township.
That's wonderful. Incredible.
Proviso Township has a very strict requirement in terms of collecting data that we're responsible for tracking. We bill for service versus just provide general programming to.
So the programs that you establish in these schools, basically, you come in with a ready-made package rather than the schools having to develop these programs? Is that how that works? or-
Well, Kate can speak to this probably better than I could, but we do it in 2 ways. We have specific school programs that may take place within the schools, and then we have our general programs that students from a number of schools participate in,
I see.
which are not located at the school. This is Katie Weisart. She's our program director for the Leadership.
Hello. Just to add to that, some of our programs are built based on the needs of the school. So one of our hopes is to just first initially establish presence within the school. Usually we start with schools visiting during lunch, and then students can chat with us and get to know us and build that relationship. And then they are one step closer to potentially participating in our programs. Our 2 key programs are our Team Leader program and our Watch My Feet program. So Team Leaders is where we train high school students to come with staff of the Leadership to run workshops in schools. And then the need of the workshop is designed by the school based on the administrator. So we'll do it on anti-bullying is a big one, things like that, depending on the needs of the school. Similarly, we have a performance group of high school students that we bring into elementary and junior high schools, and they will design a show based on the needs of the school. And so our hope is that by establishing a relationship and students becoming involved in our programs, whether it be elementary students in our after-school programs, junior high students in our junior high leadership program, that there could be a relationship to potentially host workshops in the school, shows in the school, etc.
I think that's a great program. And trying to get into this area, anytime that we can help the youth here, to me, it's well worth the funds. And I think that's a great program. Real nice.
I make a motion that we approve this grant.
I'll second it.
Oh,
I
go
have
ahead, Tim.
I have a motion by trustee Drapka, seconded by trustee Heilenbach, to approve the grant request to the Leader Shop in the amount of $5,000. Is there any more discussion? Then, Clerk Blau, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes,
Motion is carried.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next grant request is from the North Riverside Public Library, and we have Library Director Natalie Starosta here.
Hello.
Hello.
I apologize in advance for my
Summarize for us a
squeaking.
little bit what you're looking for.
We had a computer room, and we moved all of our computers out into the library, and we're turning that into a maker space. So basically, a place that you can come in and use equipment that is generally more expensive than what you're going to have in your home, or it's things that you're not going to use very frequently. So we've actually purchased through another grant a laser engraver and cutter, things like that. We're looking at getting a 3D printer. We have Cricuts in there. We have a poster printer. There's a wide variety of items in there. But right now we have no storage, no desks to work on, nothing like that. So it's all just set out on countertops. What we're asking for is funds to purchase, or have you guys purchase, tables that will fold up that people can move around, and cabinets that we can put items in or on and move around. We're trying to make this into a mobile space that we can reconfigure anytime. We know that the items we've purchased now in 10 years are probably going to be surpassed by something else. So we want to make sure that the room stays functional no matter what. Anything we put in there should be able to be used with the cabinetry that we have in there and reconfigured so that it works.
I noticed that your request is that the check be written to the North Riverside Public Library. However, I think we already discussed
Yes.
that we actually, in a case like this where you're a taxing body, would have to make the purchase directly.
Which is fine. We were just concerned because the people that we got quotes from were used to drilling with us, so we weren't sure if we were getting a deal from them. We just heard back from the gentleman that we were talking to. He said, not a problem.
Perfect.
Very good. Are there any other questions?
Are you gonna train people to use these
Yes.
equipment?
Yes, so it's actually two parts. So we're planning on having somebody who is stationed in the room who can just help you if you're a one-time thing. Or we are working on making a manual for, say you want to come in and use the embroidery machine. Okay, if you can demonstrate to us that you know all the steps and you're not going to sew your finger, please don't sew your finger, then we will certify you and you can come in anytime you like to use it. It's going to be a two-step process. Some of the machines you'll be certified on later because we're a little bit more nervous about them because they're a lot more expensive, like the laser engraver. But that is our plan.
Any other questions?
I make a motion that we approve this grant of $3,846.72 with the stipulation that we have to buy it for you,
Which is great.
you know.
I'm not complaining. That's fabulous.
So we can't make out the,
Exactly.
I don't know how to word that, we can't make out the check too.
Right,
So buy it for
we
you?
take care of that administratively, we make sure that that happens.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by trustee Clark, second by trustee Heilenbach, to approve the grant request from the North Riverside Public Library for $3,846.72 for storage for their maker space. Any other discussion? Then Clerk Blau, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Hollenbach,
Yes.
trustee Drapka.
Yes.
Trustee Clark,
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt,
Yes.
motion is carried.
Congratulations. Thank you. All right, our next consideration is for the Riverside Community Garden.
Hi.
Yes, we do have a big check if it's, we won't interrupt the meeting to do it, but when we have it, maybe we can schedule for your publicity, for your newsletter and so forth, and that same thing goes for you, so that we can do a presentation. All right.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Please identify yourself.
Bridget Doherty. I live in Riverside.
And I'm Elaine Ruggles, also Riverside resident.
We've been working on the Riverside Community Garden, and it's been a kind of ongoing project, and we've been very fortunate that Ascension Lutheran Church has offered their side yard in the last year. We've been working through this, and so we launched the community garden this spring, and it has been very successful and exciting. We've been brought in a lot of different community members, kids for classes. We've had volunteers schlepping dirt and mulch and compost, and we've just had just a fantastic experience. And we are getting to the part of the year where we're getting to share what we're growing. So we have been able to donate all of the food that we've grown. We have decided to grow everything in community, so nobody's taking anything home. It's not an individual plot. We're all working together to grow as much as we can, and then giving the food to food insecure in the area. So we have donated to People Care. We've donated to Ascension Lutheran to a meal delivery service that they offer their parishioners. We've brought some food over to the Presbyterian Church Pantry. Anything else?
Some neighbors, and then classes. So we've had a lot of classes where children will come, and then we'll take them through the garden, and we'll teach them about the plants. We'll have them pick and eat vegetables as they listen to stories or whatever the class is. So we've had a lot of community members just come through and sort of pick vegetables as they're ripe, sharing. And we've done that at work days as well. So we've had days where we've been pruning or tying up, and then we've had people pick and take home at the same time. And we've had various deliveries. So if we hear about, elderly neighbors who need vegetables, then we'll go pick and we'll deliver.
So it's been a really fantastic first year. We're really excited to continue to work on the project, and we've identified some areas where we could improve. So far, we've just raised money from donations, and Ascension Lutheran gave us some money to get started. But we are at a point where we would love to add a watering system. That's a challenge that we've been faced with, is having volunteers watering, but then realizing that it's not necessarily consistent. Even though they said they would go every day of the week, they didn't quite get there every day. So we could produce more vegetables if we had more consistent watering. We have identified some different organic fertilizers that we could add to the garden just to, again, produce more and have kind of a better output. We need new compost for next year, new seedlings, so that's kind of what we're asking for.
Are you a registered 501c3 corporation?
We're not.
Do we have a rule that we only?
We're hosted by Ascension Lutheran, so that's how I understood that would maybe be okay. We're not a separate entity.
Right, we realize that.
Yeah.
And our rules have been that you have to be established for a certain amount of time and have some status as a nonprofit. Don't have to necessarily have a tax exemption.
Okay.
Don't have to be a 501c3 necessarily, but you need to have at least established some organizational boundaries, like register with the state of Illinois as a not-for-profit organization. It's a fairly uncomplicated process, but you would have to have some bylaws and, some rules establishing yourselves that way. That has been our rule regarding nonprofit organizations and the grants that we give.
It's a fairly easy process.
Okay.
And what I'm suggesting is that you get that and come back, because this is a real good program for the community.
Yeah.
And we want to be part of it.
Sure.
Yeah, and we know that this is your second time back in front of this board, because the first time you had come, we had other issues that were going on. And
Didn't have a place. where
right,
it
and now
was
you're
to
established
settle.
and everything is working out perfect, and this is great. I think we can, I definitely want to be a part of this and give you something.
If you need some help, Miss Doherty, please feel free to contact
Oh,
me.
sure. Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, we were invited. I mean, we
Well, no,
thought we were supposed to be coming at this point.
We
We were kind
understand, we
But part
understand.
of that process is to have this conversation,
of. Okay.
to tell you how we can help you.
Sure.
Without my just saying, oh, you're not, so don't come. You know?
Yeah.
So we'd rather see you established. It doesn't have to be a big fancy organization. It has to be an organization. You have to establish your purpose, and you know what your purpose is. And you have to describe what your membership would be. They may all be volunteers, but you need to have some names. You need to have some kind of an organized body, some officers.
Sure.
Which you
I
need
think
to.
I
we
thought
listed-
you
we
did
listed
have
that.
that at one time, didn't
And we
you?
also listed
We
that in your
currently
application.
have that in our application.
Right.
So we have that.
So we need
Didn't
to
you
file
have
it
a
with the state?
nonprofit At one time though, didn't you have?
Did you have a nonprofit status the first time you came by?
Yeah.
I don't think.
I
No.
don't think so.
I think that was very preliminary, and I don't think that the.
You wanted to use, you were gonna sell this stuff.
No, we were
to
going to
the-
rent out plots.
You were
Rent
going
out
to,
plots.
but use public land to
Right.
rent out plots.
Right.
which-
Right, and so this is quite
So this is
different now that we
different.
have land and we
Yeah,
have a
it's in
sponsor, so the essential Lutheran Church is sponsoring us.
We're not selling anything, and we're not bringing in any revenue.
My other question is, it looks like all of these things are for next year.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm kind of, concerned why you're applying now and not in February.
Because our big amount is soil, and it is better for our garden if we can add our soil in the fall. So once we've harvested and we close our garden, if we add our amendments in the fall and let it rest for the winter, then we'll be ready for the spring. And that is just a better gardening practice versus waiting for the spring, which is definitely possible, but ideally we would like to do it in the fall after we've harvested.
And also, if we did have the watering system, we would implement that right away. I mean, we still have 3 months of growing this season.
Let me ask you this, if the church is sponsoring them, correct?
Yes.
Would we be able to give the money to the church to then
Well, there we
purchase for
run into
them?
a different kind of problem when.
That's one taxing body
when
to
it goes-
another.
Well, not a taxing
Oh, not
body.
taxing body,
But
sorry.
a church, I know that it wasn't this composition, but the board gave a contribution, made a grant to a religious organization at one point and got a lot of flack because it's government supporting religion. So we would not, I mean, it would have to be the same way as we do for other government entities, where we could purchase the things and not make out a check to the church.
That was our understanding. That's why we listed everything out.
Right,
Yeah.
Right, so we have,
Right.
And this is electronically,
So
like
you're
these
kind
were
of a
links.
hybrid, and
Yeah.
that's why I wanted you to come forth and didn't want to say, no, you don't fit our parameters,
Yeah.
so that we can
I
put
don't
it
know if it
together.
matters, but neither of us are members of the church. I mean, we just
You-
got
you
lucky
just
that they
got-
were supporting our mission.
They supported
Yeah.
it, but through
Yeah.
the land.
yes,
Right.
I have a couple, are you trying to grow organic vegetables?
yes, yes.
So then why are you applying pest control and
So
you're
that
buying
is,
the premium organic garden mix, but then down here, you've Because you can't apply any pesticides if you're truly having an organic garden.
So we're obviously not registered organic, but we are chemical-free. So these are all going to be chemical-free amendments.
Okay. And we have people here from the Presbyterian Food Pantry. Did you, Tara, Matt, did you get donations from the community garden?
We did.
You did, okay.
Yes, we did.
Can I ask a question to Supervisor, since you know the ins and outs of nonprofit and boards better than
Right.
certainly
Right.
myself? How long from start to finish does it take to apply and then receive your not-for-profit status or whatever they need to?
Kind of depends on how and I think it's the Attorney General's office that actually processes that, so it kind of depends from time to time how quickly they respond to things like that. I would think that by our next grant period, you would at least have the application in, and then very possibly would have approval already.
Well, my concern being that, obviously listen to, and I'm gonna call you experts because I think that you know what you're talking about when it comes to what you want here. It sounds to me that with regards to the soil and the water and that stuff needs to be in by the fall. That would be, our next grant period would be after that, correct?
Our next grant date is November.
So would it be, do you think that they would be able to establish and get the documents they need within a month from now for our next meeting?
Well, our next meeting comes up quickly because we're late this month, but
Right.
What about
roughly,
October?
at least, I think it would be up to this board if they at least have gone through that process to establish and put together the application. We could probably help, at least for those items.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve this grant with the stipulation that we receive a copy of your application to the Attorney General's office or Secretary of State or whatever that entity is to approve your not-for-profit license, and we'll give you, I think, maybe 2 weeks to get that application turned in, or?
By the October meeting.
I would say by the October meeting.
By the
October meeting, which still gives us time to get the stuff and for them to.
Is that possible for you ladies to do that?
And I'll be glad to help you through the process.
Yeah, we'll help you through the process. This
And
is
there's
a
no
good,
cost?
good,
There's no
good.
cost associated?
That's-
Typically,
that's
I mean,
probably-
when I finally
It's a
get
minimal
all
filing fee.
Maybe it's like
15.
$5 or $15.
Maybe
Oh,
$15.
so it's not like starting a business, that's
No,
like fine, okay.
no. You're not establishing a business. You're establishing the existence of your not-for-profit. So you put together some description of your
Sure.
organization, the purposes of the organization, the officers, you name them here. You've got some board members that you don't specify what offices you hold, but you would create some offices for that. And the application is an online form, so we can help you get through that.
Okay, great,
Yeah,
thank
I don't
you.
know how to word it, I just,
Right.
if they turn in an application, a copy of their application that says, hey, we filled out the nonprofit, here it is, we turn it in.
And they
you know,
bring us a copy
and then
back when
here
it's
you go, we'll
approved.
cut you the check right here, so you can get your stuff ready to go, and you'll be all set.
Well, we would have to buy it for them, I think.
Yeah, whatever.
Or
Would we do what? I'm sorry.
would we have to buy it for them?
Yes.
Because, yeah, we'd have to buy it for you, which isn't a problem.
Right, but as long as you bring in that copy and
Okay,
say,
it's just the
we turn
application."
this in tomorrow, you know, hey,
Okay.
here's the application we turned in, boom, okay, we're good to go, you know what I mean?
So are we gonna give them the money when we get the application, but we'll approve it tonight? Is that
That's
what
the
you're saying?
motion that I would like to make, yes.
I'll second that. I've known Miss Doherty
Long time.
for about 3 days, since she was in grammar school. And I really think that this is such a great program for the village. And I'm real excited. I was waiting for you to come back. I'll make a second on that. I think that's a great idea. And I know Bridget will make sure that gets done.
So the motion, just to be clear, we're postponing this until the September meeting or the October meeting?
No,
or-
I don't want to postpone. My motion is to approve the grant with the stipulation that we,
Subject to the application.
subject to a copy of their application when they turn it in. So when they turn in the application,
Then we
give us a
come by-
copy of the application, and we don't have to come to this board again. The supervisor can, or a clerk can write the check and get this all
Well,
taken
we have
care
to
of.
order this stuff for them.
Right,
That's
that's
fine.
fine.
Or write the
That
check
should be no
I don't-
to
problem.
the
I
other
don't-
organizations
Right,
to
I don't want
purchase
you
it.
guys to have to come back here and we have to do this all over again. The money is approved, it's all yours, just give us a copy of the.
The filing, appreciate that,
right.
thank you.
You know, this is a little out of the realm of what we do usually, but this is such a good program.
And timing, in my opinion, it's
And timing is
Yes,
very
yes,
important.
thank you.
And
you've
Mike will
already
come
been
over and
supported.
unload that truck.
Yes.
You've
Trustee
already
truck.
been
I got
supported.
some time on my hands.
We can use help. Got a lot of mulch coming our way, and compost.
We need a
A lot
roll
of physical
call.
labor.
Yes,
On
we
this,
do.
right,
Yeah.
for a second?
Yeah.
And if you need any help, Supervisor Wilt is more than happy to help you. I'm willing to help you too,
Thank you.
whatever it takes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Okay, then we have a motion and a second, to approve the grant subject to proof of the filing for nonprofit status with the state of Illinois, proof being a copy of the application for nonprofit status, and then purchases would be made directly with the vendors. That is the motion, and Clerk Blau, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Clark,
Yes.
trustee Drapka,
Yes.
trustee Hollenbach,
Yes.
supervisor Wilt.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Next on the agenda is the grant for the Riverside Presbyterian Church Little Food Pantry. You have that application before you. Good evening.
Good evening. We're here from the Riverside Presbyterian Church. My name is Matt Lyle. I'm the head of the mission committee there. I'm going to turn things over to Tara Gregus, who will introduce herself and tell you a little bit more about the grant and why we're here. But I just wanted to put in a little blurb about what we're doing over there in terms of mission work generally. We do have a fairly rigorous, enhanced mission program that is on the local, national, and the global level. We've really done a lot recently in order to bolster what we've been doing locally, although our church has always really been a mission-focused church. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tara, who can give you some details on what we're looking for. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Tara Gregus, and I'm a member of the Mission Committee. A couple of years ago, I had this crazy idea that we could build a little food pantry. I actually saw the idea on Facebook, saw these little lending libraries popping up, and then I started to see these things called little food pantries, where people would have them outside their home and put food, and I thought, why can't we do that at our church? And brought the idea to the church, and it was, there were a lot of questions at first, but then we decided to go ahead with it, and we built it, and it is outside the doors of our church. That was actually 2 years ago. In my application, I said the fall of 2017, but on my Facebook feed, it showed up on August 2nd, 2 years ago. This is your memory. So it was actually, it's been the 2-year anniversary of us putting it out there. We stock it with canned goods and non-perishables. We have to be a little careful in the winter what we put out there because of freezing things. And it was kind of slow at first to take off, I think, because it's somewhat hidden. It's not meant to be hidden, but it's kind of tucked in an alcove. At first, it wasn't utilized tremendously. We weren't sure who would use it, who would find it. We didn't know if kids would be coming for an after-school snack with granola bars or things. But what has happened is that recently it has taken off, I guess, and sometimes we come and it has been completely cleaned out, and we've had trouble keeping up. There's been a lot of generosity from the community. Our church members have been faithful and wonderful in terms of bringing things to church each week. We have a lot of people who bring supplies as they grocery shop, they bring things. We try to have a designated items of the month that we suggest that people buy. We've had kids, we had a child in the community who designated his birthday gifts to, bring things for the little food pantry, which was so heartwarming. The Boy Scouts at the holiday stroll took donations for their, they had a bonfire and they sold s'mores, and all the donations went to buy food for the little food pantry. We've had really tremendous, Hauser shared some of when they do their food collection each year, they shared some of their food with us. So we've had feast and famine. We've had so much food that we've had to find new storage for it, and then we've had bare shelves. But what we've found is that since the first of the year, we've been spending a lot of money purchasing food for the little food pantry, and we've had to have people stock it on an almost daily basis. So it shows that there is need in our community. We obviously, because it's out of doors, we don't have any sort of litmus test for who's using it, who's taking the food. There may be people from outside of Riverside that are taking the food, but we know that there are a lot of people within Riverside who are using it. I have encountered folks who have come, and sometimes people have been a little reticent, and I welcome them and say, "Hi, how are you? My name's Tara, come and take what you need," and because sometimes people will come while you're stocking the food pantry, so I try to welcome people, talk to them. I've talked to a single mother who must have thanked me 50 times and said, I get granola bars here for my son's lunch, and she's a single mom and she works for minimum wage. She's a home health care worker, and she said, I don't know what I'd do without this food pantry. So we've learned, anecdotally about a lot of people who are using the food pantry. What I put in I worked with the treasurer of our church to get financial information, and when I filled this out, it was in July. So in June, we had spent $676 just for June alone on supplies. Our mission budget for all of our activities, not just the little food pantry, but for everything we do for the whole year, is $5,000. So for 1 month for the little food pantry to spend almost $700 is just unsustainable for us. We also, I went to Aldi this spring and got them to donate their produce that they're getting rid of. So we purchased a refrigerator, so now we've added fresh produce. So Mondays and Fridays, we also offer fresh produce there. Across from the Little Food Pantry, we have that. When we also started doing free community dinners once a month. So we've made hunger our sort of the focus of our mission programs for the year. So we sponsor a missionary that works on hunger in the Dominican Republic. We kind of made that the focus of our mission programs for the year. But the Little Food Pantry has been something that, has taken up a lot of our focus and effort. And it's not something, we were a little concerned when we heard you talking about, obviously Matt and I are both lawyers. We understand the separation of church and state. And I don't know what the specifics are as far as making a check out to a church. The food pantry is, although it's outside the doors of our church, we don't require church attendance. We don't put Bible verses in with the food. We're not requiring anything. We're just trying to feed hungry people. And so I would be happy to try to answer any questions or address any concerns as far as that. But we are just looking for a grant to help us keep our shelves stocked with canned, non-perishable foods to stock our shelves for the Little Food Pantry.
And how much storage space do you have?
We used to just have a big cabinet, and we recently moved it to a large closet, so we have much bigger shelves. We have enough storage space to store
Quite a bit. So if we did something like this, instead of making the check out to the Riverside Presbyterian Church, why don't we just go to Aldi, make a purchase of $1,000 worth of food? Or get gift cards where you
That-
can get that, and then we
Yeah.
can do something
Yeah.
like that.
That would be absolutely fine with us.
And I
Get-
have one more suggestion for this board. You know, we're supposed to be doing another shredding event.
Yes.
I think it'd be great if we partnered with the little food pantry, that they could bring non-perishable food items to donate.
Oh, that
And
would be
then you
wonderful.
guys could have some people there at the shredding event.
To
You know,
transport
We did
it.
that with the bike, what was the name of that, trustee clerk, the bike? Working bikes. We got almost 100 bikes.
Oh, that's a great organization.
Yeah, well, we got 100 bikes for them almost, or
So-
87 or something.
What he's saying, Tara, is we sponsored the shredding event, also a bicycle collection for working bikes. So the shredding event was hugely successful. So we want to do it again in the fall, but we want to partner with a different nonprofit.
That's correct.
So, putting on our flyers and ads that, we'll be collecting donations for the food pantry is what he's saying. And that would, is in addition to the grant, not instead of.
Absolutely, right.
Not a
So
replacement of
saying
it.
people who bring, like, as, in appreciation of us shredding your documents, we're asking you to kind of make a donation, is that the concept?
It's, we're partnering with you to do this. And then what you'll do is you'll have some volunteers there.
Right.
That can get the non-perishable food.
Right.
Stack it, and you
Right.
guys have a system to get it
Great.
back to the food pantry.
We're in.
And this way, it helps out, it's a community thing,
Wonderful.
and that's what it's all
Yeah,
about.
it's not in
that's-
appreciation.
Yeah, no.
for doing the
I mean,
shredding, it's just-
you're asking the people who are getting their documents shredded
Or-
for donations, you're asking them
People
to.
can sometimes
Yeah.
just come and,
Yeah.
we had a lot of people just drop off bikes and didn't,
Nice.
do any shredding
Good.
for it, but.
Good.
So they
Right.
could drop up.
So we would publicize it that way. I have one other small request.
Yes.
Could we also place, because those are people who are food insecure, we also have a food pantry for the township. Could we post a laminated sign that refers
Absolutely.
them to us as well?
Yes, yes.
In fact, we've already talked about doing things like, being able to have information there that would point people to other places.
other
Like little business cards that would say, there's also food,
Right.
Food assistance available at the Riverside Township Hall. We've talked about that at our meetings, and so, yes, we think that makes so much sense, is to, feed off of each other. In fact, one of the township folks is one who told me about applying for the grant for this, so it's, it's good that we're all working together on this. So, yeah, that's wonderful.
And wait, can I just make one comment here, and as attorneys, is that you could correct me, is we can support functions from a church, we just cannot force people to, a religion on them. That's the way I understand the separation of government and religion.
And this is a mission of the church that we're supporting. We have supported scout troops that were affiliated with a particular parish. So, we can do the good works there, but I would say that purchasing gift cards or purchasing food for you would
It's
be
the
the better way to
establishment
go.
clause. Government shall establish no religion, and you're not establishing
Establishing,
religion
right,
by
yeah,
this.
that's what-
You're purchasing food gift cards to help feed hungry people.
Right.
I don't see how that's
We're not-
establishing religion, and
Right.
we
We're
don't.
not forcing the religion, I just said you don't.
It's
force them to
outside
go
the
to
doors.
church. Yeah,
There's
I know.
absolutely nothing religious about it. There's not a picture of Jesus on our little food pantry. There's not Bibles inside of it. It's
She said you don't put Bible sayings and
no.
taped on the granola bar.
Nothing about it. Yeah. So it's.
I make a motion that we approve
this
grant.
I'm
Wait,
sorry,
just-
I didn't know this is probably out of turn, but I understand that there might be like a surplus of food in the township pantry, that maybe it's not always accessed. Is there a way to funnel those donations also to the food pantry?
So, we actually go out and purchase. We do get donations also from the Hauser Food Drive, and we occasionally get financial support for the food pantry. There's not usually a surplus. The only thing, we have an overflow storage, and from that, we then refill it. What people can get from the township is 2 tote bags full of food once a month. And so, you know, we only track that. We track nothing but their address to verify that they are within the township, because we need to do
Yeah,
that.
good.
But you don't even have that identification. So, yeah, I mean, if I just had a whole bunch of food, I would just send it over, but
Also
that's,
that, yeah.
right. And you have the advantage that you do have the refrigerator. Our pickup is so
Little.
sporadic that we don't do any fresh food.
Yeah.
What we have done is provide the recipients with vouchers that they can use at the Riverside Farmers Market.
Oh, nice.
So that's what we do
That's
there.
very nice.
So that's how they can get produce, but in the winter, we don't have
Right.
anything really.
Just as a point of fact, I mean, this entire enterprise for the last 2 years has been, we had no idea what was gonna happen. So when we did it and put the pantry out there with non-perishable, and then it started to get use when people found out about it, that was surprising and it kept growing. And now we've put out this fresh stuff starting in the spring, and, you know, who knew that all this stuff was gonna be taken? So obviously, you know, there is a need. It's a hidden need mostly, but there is a need, and you're probably even well aware of that.
Right, absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
I'm gonna make a motion that we grant this grant request, but do I need to specify that we need to buy all the gift cards, or?
Excuse me, one minute. Tim already had a motion on the floor.
Oh, we did? Oh,
Trustee
sorry.
Clark.
Was there a second to it?
No, there was not.
Okay, you can second his then.
I'll second it, I'm sorry, I didn't
Right.
remember that, Tim.
Okay, so we have a motion by,
I
Trustee
don't
Clark.
remember Tim making a motion, I thought we were still in the discussion.
so we have a motion by trustee Heilenbach, seconded by trustee Clark, to provide the grant as requested, but in the form of gift cards for the purchase of food.
And also, you kind of be in contact with Supervisor Wilt for this shred-a-thon, because I think that'd be a great opportunity.
Do you have a date for it?
We don't, we're waiting, unfortunately, Hauser has not gotten back to us with
Okay.
their move of the district office
I
and
will be in
everything
touch.
for an available
Yep,
date. So
great.
as soon as we can establish that,
Yeah.
we hope it'll be by October, at
Okay,
the latest.
good.
We do, it in the house of parking lot.
Okay,
Right.
very good. Yeah, we would be happy and very grateful to be the recipients of that. Thank you.
That's what we're here for, is to
Thank you.
help.
Thank you.
So, and the power of the press, I'm sure, has also boosted your participation.
Yes, yes, that was great, that yeah, you can see a picture of our little food pantry there.
It really is a little food pantry.
Our wonderful
Question.
carpenter built that.
Do you think that anonymity of them being able to take food from your little food pantry is what draws a lot of people that would normally not ask for assistance?
The fact that it's anonymous.
Anonymous?
Really hard to say, because
It
we
is.
don't necessarily stop. Most of the people we don't see. They come at times when nobody's there,
So
they're
I think that's
embarrassed.
probably the case.
We
but-
feel like it's food insecure and not people who are absolutely starving, although we've had anecdotes where somebody basically said, "You saved my life." So, you know, you have that range, but mostly I think we think it's seniors on a very fixed income who need supplementation.
That's the
What
largest
a
part of
wonderful
ours.
thing.
Somebody did tell us that who was staying at one of the beds programs in LaGrange, you know, a homeless overnight shelter.
Sure.
And who was kind of struggling and having a bad evening with the people who worked there, and later in the evening was talking to some of the people, and he's like, "Oh, you're from Riverside. Oh, that's where they have all those fancy homes, right?" And he was feeling, our guy was feeling a little defensive, and later he's like, are you from that church? You have that little food pantry? And he said, yeah, and he goes, that food pantry saved my life. And he told us that story in church, and I just like totally welled up, you know. So, I mean, one person like that you hear a story like that makes a big difference.
Well, and Beds does
Yeah.
serve the people within
Yeah.
the township.
Yeah, but I do think, I think you have a point. I do think the anonymity makes a difference to some people. And I do think we do get some people who walk across the bridge from Lions.
What a wonderful
But-
project you came up with.
yeah, oh,
That's a
well,
great
hey,
idea.
it was Facebook. It does have some positives,
Spread the word.
yeah, yeah.
So we need to take, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
yes.
So
I'm
would you
sorry, I got
please
carried
call the roll?
there.
That's okay, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Clark. Yes. Trustee Drapka.
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty. Moving right along, our next item is we're done with grants. And we have a room request for special use. And there's a new date on this one. They are asking for October 26th instead of October 19th now. Please make note of that change. But what is your pleasure regarding this? And is there someone to speak to it? Yes.
My name is Sarah Ostrowski, and I'm Val Drenth, and we're here to represent the Riverside Dancing Club. We were contacted by the Riverside 150 Committee to host an event celebrating Riverside's 150th planning. So we are requesting use of the room upstairs on October 26th. We're going to have a band, some dancing, and some cocktails and for sale and appetizers.
We're pairing up with Choo Choo. Scott at the Choo Choo is going to provide all of that. And then we're going to charge a ticket price, and it's going to be open up to everybody in Riverside.
Yes.
Will you be separately selling the drinks?
It'll be a cash bar.
Yes.
Right. Okay, and he knows the ropes of, that
He
you'll
does.
need to get,
He
you'll need to
knows-
engage the village because
Yep.
we don't issue the liquor.
Exactly.
permits, but
We have
can
all
bring
the
these
liquor
over.
permits and insurance required for that.
Yes,
So.
would need that.
He has,
approval.
yeah, he
Yeah,
said he
right.
could handle that.
Okay,
Yeah, proof of that.
Right. His insurance will cover the rider for the.
very good.
Liquor for the event.
So it's really, you're celebrating the planning, the Olmsted plan.
I make a motion that we approve this special use permit.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Drapka, seconded by trustee Clark, to approve the special room request, special use application. Any questions or discussion? Then would you please call the roll?
Trustee Clark.
Yes.
Trustee Drapka.
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Good luck.
I make a motion that we approve, participate in the Autumn Fest and Chili Cook-Off.
I have a motion to participate in the North Riverside Autumn Fest and Chili Cook-Off.
I'll second it.
Seconded, motion by trustee Drapka, seconded by trustee Heilenbach. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried.
Who's gonna do the chili? You want me to do it, Leanne, or you still wanna do it?
Whatever you want to do it, fine. Maybe you can win. I never win.
We're winners.
We'll change it, we'll change it
I
up a little bit.
understand, trustee Hollenbach.
If you're up for it, Mary Rob, that would be great.
Good luck.
I'm gonna put a bet on this.
Mary, trustee Clark, go for it.
It's a throwdown, it's a cooking channel.
So you guys think you're gonna beat me?
Of course. It's good.
The
Award.
game is on now.
The game is on. How much do you make, Leanne?
I don't know, a big pot.
I know you have a big
Yeah,
pot. Okay, I'm
there,
gonna have to-
it says in their instructions, I believe,
Okay,
how much
all
you
right.
need to have.
You have to have enough.
2 crock pots full, okay. I know hers is a really big pot, but okay. I'd be happy to make it.
I'll be happy to be there.
But you have to decorate. I can't decorate like you can.
All
Come
right,
on,
fine.
you must, 2 crock pots or similar container to keep your chili warm, Approximately 1 cup will be used for judging purposes, and the rest is for people's tasting. So the more the merrier.
So what do I get if I win?
I don't know.
Tim?
You're not going to, so.
I really have no problem. I'm pretty much confident, overconfident.
Oh, dear. They must be having a professionally made.
We'll do a side bet later.
Okay.
So, okay. we
All
don't
right,
even
no
know what
no
they're-
gambling at the
okay.
meeting. All right, then, we will participate in that. Aging Care Connections, you have information here about their sports ball gala. It's really more for, well,
Is that just an FYI, or are you asking for?
well, I don't
actual-
think I'm asking for a
It's an FYI.
$1,500, so it's more of an FYI.
Okay.
Okay. And then on to the supervisor's report. Just to update you, the farmer's market, after so much discussion, we're about 6 weeks into when the vouchers started being distributed. 13 vouchers out of 78 that we've put out have been redeemed, so that's $65 so far that I've redeemed with the vendors. That's about 16.6% that have been redeemed. In checking who redeemed them, there were only 5 out of 23 people who received them, but that's almost 22% using them. So a lot of people, as they got their second month's vouchers, were reminded, oh yeah, I have those vouchers. So I think that they're going to be circulated more. And this past week, I'm going again tomorrow, but last week there was a bigger group of them redeemed. As I told you in advance, it can be used for any edible items, which would include everything from produce, eggs, meat, fish, honey, breads, other bakery, and even ready-to-eat meals like tamales, tacos. They used to have bibimbap, but that's they didn't have it last week. And even smoothies, popcorn, Aunt Diana's treats. Almost all of the vouchers were actually redeemed with Berries, which is, they are all produce. So most of them came from there. There was one smoothie one and a couple of odds and ends, but that's where most of them come from. I'm always respectful of their businesses. I back off. I don't go to redeem. I go at the beginning of the market, but once they're set up, because before that, they don't want to talk to anyone. They're just trying to set up. And then, so I then, back off if they've got customers, and then I check with them. Last time I did another end around because I saw some of our clients at the farmer's market, so they must have already redeemed them the first time, because when I went around, there weren't any more. But all of them have been willing to wait a week to get their money. It has not been a problem at all. The audit you have, I emailed you the packet. I only printed one if you want to see it physically. I do have it here. Next month at our meeting in September, Ed Tracy from Selden Fox will be here to answer any of your questions, but I did send it to you via email so you can look through the preliminary report. Just for your information, if you didn't notice it, the Riverside Village office hours have been shortened. They now close at 4:30 every day. That only affects us basically one day a week. On Thursdays, we're here actually a half hour longer than they are. I'm not sure what prompted the change, but that is something I want you to be aware of. I did have a meeting with the village manager and the clerk of Riverside to discuss some of the events that we're planning for anniversaries. I was promised the application forms for special event permits. I haven't received it yet, but nothing that we discussed other than fireworks that they already told us they prefer not to do were within the realm of possibilities. They thought that everything was quite normal like other events. They were even willing to help us, identify vendors and such. They also offered some of the departments that work with it and their help. We would have some charges if, for example, fencing has to go up around the park, so that they do themselves through Public Works, so we would be charged back for some of that. But everything seems within the realm of possibility. And just as a point of information, their explanation for the fireworks was that it wasn't even Riverside fireworks, that the fire that warded that they did not want to do it. It was actually, they claim it was North Riverside fireworks when they used to be done at Veterans Park, that some ashes lit something on fire, so there was a fire in there, so that's why they're not fond of fireworks. I still haven't received confirmation from District 96. I keep contacting the contact person, but they were just moving their offices, so I'm sure that was part of the problem. First it was, they needed to wait for Hauser, and Hauser starts back to school tomorrow, so hopefully now everybody will be functioning and they can identify which days. But that's all I have to report. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, but that's where much of that stands.
Are we trying to go for September for the shredding event?
I don't know,
or-
that
September
September would be really pushing it, because we
Okay.
need to do a newsletter before we do that. I'm thinking we're kind of looking at early October at this point.
That would be
because
fine.
we're almost through August, and, just to put together a newsletter.
Supervisor,
Yes.
did you want to report about the trip to the state fair?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes, I did want it. We did have 2 buses, we had a few last-minute cancellations, but people were able to spread out a little bit. We had 30 people on one bus, 32 on the other, and everybody had a wonderful time. We were able, from our experience at the fair, to tell them a little bit about good places to eat and where to cool off and all of that, and so people were quite happy with that. Unfortunately, somebody who was on the trip started spreading the rumor that we're thinking of doing another trip to Springfield to other locations at some point, and I don't know where they got that, but before I knew it, people kept asking, are you going to do another trip to Springfield? Like, we have not even discussed it, but just want you to know, if you hear that rumor out there, that somebody on the trip was spreading that one. But, we used a new company that came recommended by North Riverside Recreation. They were excellent. The buses were like brand spanking new. They were immaculate. Drivers were very professional. We had none of the problems that we'd had last year. They were here early. I pulled up, we were planning to leave at 7:45. I pulled up at about 10 after 7. Both buses were already here. Yeah, everything was excellent. Weather really was very kind to us. If you could find shade, there was a breeze. It was maybe upper 70s, 80-ish. So that was great for Springfield in August. So it went very, very well.
Good. So we might, just depending on the list next year, we might get 2 buses again, right? If there's.
Could be, yeah. We were up to about 70 people, and we wound up with 62 because there was some last minute cancellation. Somebody got sick, somebody had a death in the family, things happen. But other than that, and we did contact, as soon as we opened up to the second bus, we contacted those who were on a waiting list for the first one. So everything went very well.
And how many do each bus hold?
They were buses that theoretically hold 50, but those
Okay,
back
yeah.
seats, both of them had clean washrooms and everything. So yeah, they could have had more, but most people sat two together, but I think there's really only like 47 seats on the bus. But it was very nice day.
Good.
Trustees reports.
Seniors classes seem to be going well, the senior exercise classes. I think there's a little bit of an increase in attendance because parking is better. The roads aren't closed.
Right. We were having a little trouble. It kind of dipped in the heat of summer, but it's back up.
So we had pizza for our second Wednesday lunch. And we'll have another lunch on the second Wednesday in September. And I'm also going to try to put together a trip to Morton Arboretum for our outing. And the exercise instructor also had his baby, had a little baby boy.
And it's a biblical name, I forget now.
It's Levi Michael.
Levi
Michael Owen.
Very good. Thank you. Trustee Drapka, do you
No
have anything to
report.
report? other than being a new daddy?
No report.
Okay. Trustee Heilenbach?
I have no report. Mental Health Board will meet again in September.
Very good. Then on to unfinished business, planning for the township anniversaries. We did have a committee of the whole meeting, and we set the, out of the current budget, we set aside, or we recommend setting aside $15,000 for the anniversary events under the current budget. So if I will entertain a motion for that so that we can officially approve that.
I make a motion that we approve for the $15,000 for the current fiscal year budget for the township anniversary.
Very good.
Second?
I have a motion by trustee Heilenbach, seconded by trustee Clark, to approve $15,000 for the budget for the anniversaries, for the township anniversaries out of the current fiscal year budget. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
And you also now have, under just informational items, the township website report. If you're wondering about the spike in things that refer to sex, we showed the movie about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which is, and I forget what the title is, but it's something like on the basis of sex. And apparently anybody who was looking for something that involved sex was led to our website. So, not the kind of, information that we.
I hit those circles to ask, movie
Yes.
Sex 2018.
Yes, that was what that
Free
was.
sex movie. Sex movie, I did.
So I guess as they say, sex sells, so. If the movie makers had chosen to call it gender, we wouldn't have had the same hits, but, we welcome the hits on our website. But it's coming along. We've been tweaking things and adding various frequently asked questions under different pages, and it's a work in progress constantly. If you see anything or want anything adjusted, if there's any news you want to see put in there, please do let us know, and we can get that in there. And with that, we are on to the approval of warrants. Trustee Clark, did you
Okay,
take care of those?
I make a motion to approve the general warrant in the sum of $30,511.18.
I have a motion, do I hear a second?
I have a question on the warrants. The master keys, what was that for?
We
need to
needed,
make new master keys?
we needed a few extras. We, as cleaning crews, sometimes it turns out they didn't actually have the right, sometimes they were let in by the police department rather than coming in. Occasionally, somebody loses a key and we need to replace it, so that's why. Any other questions? Then I have a motion by trustee Clark, second by trustee Heilenbach, to approve the general warrants in the amount of $30,511.18. Would you please call the roll, Clerk Blau?
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the utility warrant in the amount of $1,029.98, the payroll warrant of $20,873.20, the health warrant for $1,759.58, the general assistant warrant for $3,000.
No, there should have been a replacement page on that one.
Should have been a replacement page.
on the general.
Oh, general assistance warrant for $4,011.28. The Township radio players warrant for $777.78. Food pantry warrant for $211.84.
I second.
Thank you. I have a motion by trustee Clark, second by trustee Drapka, to approve the following August 2019 warrants in the following amounts. Utility warrant, $1,029.98. Payroll warrant, $20,873.20. Health warrant, $1,759.58. General assistance warrant, $4,011.28. Township radio players warrant in the amount of $777.78. And the food pantry warrant in the amount of $211.84. Clerk Blau, would you call the roll?
Trustee Hollenbach.
Yes.
Trustee Drapka.
Yes.
Trustee Clark.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. That concludes the business for this agenda.
I make a motion, we adjourn this beautiful meeting.
I second.
I have a motion by trustee Drapka, second by trustee Heilenbach, to adjourn this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?